So, welcome to Guided Meditations with Peter Brooks, Songs and Stories with Peter Brooks. Well, welcome to a video by Peter Brooks. Tonight I'm going to tell three stories which I think you'll find very interesting. And what I'm going to do is, by going live, I'll enable you to see behind the scenes, because these stories are the videos that I'm going to release. Connect. Stream resumed. All right, sorry about that there. So, yeah, it's because a story is like one of the oldest ways that human beings distract themselves and enable themselves to relax and just think about things and forget about their troubles for a while. It kind of stretches the imagination. And so it's a pleasurable thing to do. And so I hope you enjoy sharing stories with me. And in addition to telling the three stories, I'm also going to say a prayer, ask for your prayers for a storyteller. And you may or may not know one, but if you do, they're pretty good people to have around. Storytellers can be entertaining and, like I said, can help you take your mind off of things. So, not many of us, but we're good people. Okay, I'm just checking to make sure all this... Okay. So, the first story that I want to tell... Check your encoder settings. It's the story of how Coyote came to be the color brown. It's a really interesting story. So, Coyote was not always brown. In fact, from the time the coyote was created, it was gray. And there was another bird which was gray as well. And Coyote lived near a beautiful blue lake, just as beautiful and perfect blue as you can imagine. And the gray bird, would come to the blue lake and bathe. And the bird dove into the water, the blue water, and it sang a song, and then it flew away. And Coyote looked at that gray bird and he said, I'm going to eat that bird when he comes back around here. He's so crazy jumping in the water like that. So sure enough, the second day, and the bird comes in, gray bird dives in the blue water, bathes himself, sings the song, flies away. Coyote says, that bird came back again for the second time. He is so crazy, he says. Coyote says, I'm going to eat that bird if he comes back here tomorrow. I guarantee you that. So the third day comes. The bird dives into the blue water. Coyote is sitting there on the shore, waiting to eat him. But when the bird comes out, it's this beautiful color of blue. Absolutely perfect. And Coyote is so shocked to see that this gray bird that was gray, just like it, stopped. And it stopped, I guess. And he was so shocked to see the bird had turned blue. And he says to the bird, how in the world? You were gray just like me, and now you turned this beautiful color of blue. How did you do that? And the bird said, well, I don't know. I just dove into the water each time you saw me sing the song, and the third day I came out, I was blue. Coyote said, man, I'm going to try. And with that, the bird flew away and escaped being eaten by Coyote. And Coyote dove in the water the first day and swashed around and said, I must be a fool trying to do this, turn blue. Second came Coyote, and he went to the third day, and Coyote came out just like you could imagine, sang the song, bathed himself, beautiful blue, beautiful blue, beautiful blue. And Coyote was so proud of himself. He was walking along, and he couldn't see the blue in the shadow, but he kept looking behind to see himself. He was so proud of his blue color, and sure enough, he ran into a stone. He fell into the dirt. He hurt himself so bad he was crying and everything on it. And to this day, coyotes have that brown color of dirt when they were originally blue. Profound story. Profound story. And it kind of lets you know that, you can't be too proud of yourself, no matter how much you've accomplished. So the next story I want to tell is the story of Echo. And this is often called the story of Narcissus because it's, narcissism is considered a trait. But I like to consider it as this is the story of how echoes came into the world, of how echoes came. When you call down a tunnel or something and you hear an echo, how did that come onto the earth? And that's what this story is about. See, in this story, Echo was actually a nymph. She was actually a human, like a person, a maiden. And Echo had this one trait that made her stand out amongst all the other nymphs, because the nymphs were beautiful. And Echo was too. But Echo always loved to talk. She could talk a lot. She loved to chit-chat, and she always had to have the final word. You couldn't say something without her having something to say. One of those types of person. And so Echo was amongst the maidens, amongst the nymphs, when Hera, the wife of Zeus, who was the king of all the gods, he came down and was playing with the nymphs, and his wife was looking for him. Not a good situation. And so Echo, recognizing that this was the case, intercepted Hera and began to get her in a conversation. And the conversation lasted long enough for everyone to escape. So she played a trick on poor Hera. But when Hera found out that Echo had played a trick on her and deceived her, she placed a curse upon Echo. She said to Echo that you are so currently fond of doing, which is reply. And sure enough, that curse stuck on Echo. And Echo could not start a conversation. All Echo could do is reply. And so with that sadness upon her, Echo left the rest of the nymphs and went to be on her own by herself. And she wandered the earth until she came upon this extraordinarily handsome youth named Narcissus. Now, Narcissus was known to be the most beautiful person, anyone had ever seen. In fact, a man had fallen in love, a young fellow like himself with Narcissus, and he sent him a sword and said, "Be a warrior instead." And in using the sword, the man ended up dying, killing himself. And so Narcissus had a sort of a curse about him because of his vanity. And so Echo came upon him, and she immediately fell in love, as did most people with Narcissus. And so Narcissus could sense that she or something was looking at him. And so he would call out, "Who's there?" And Echo would respond, "Who's there?" And he knew that there was something else around him. And he would say, "Why do you shun me? Why do you shun me?" And he would say, "Come here unto me, come to me." And she would repeat him and say, "Come here, I'm here for you." And in that, at one point, Echo, with all of, and he said, "I would rather be alone than to be with you." He was so into himself. And this absolutely devastated Echo, who then continued to travel the world until her body became no more, and she would only reside in the faraway places where she could fulfill the destiny of the curse that had been put upon her. And thus, Narcissus, who had caused so much grief, had finally come upon a bath that was in the middle of the forest. It was a pond, just a small, almost bathing area. And the water was a perfect silver. And no animals of the forest or animals that were grazed, no birds or anything drank from that water or dealt with that water at all. There were no leaves in it or twigs or anything like that. It was this perfect pond. And Narcissus had been out hunting, and he saw that pond, and he was thirsty. So he went to the pond, and he leaned over as if he was going to take a drink. And for the first time, Narcissus saw himself in all his beauty. And Narcissus looked upon himself and just fell in love. And as the story goes, Narcissus kept looking at himself in the water. And whenever he would disturb himself, or the water would get disturbed from him trying to drink or trying to reach out and touch himself because he was in love, he would always panic and say, "Why have you gone away from me? Oh, please come back." And sure enough, as the water would still, the image would come back, and he would sit there and stare at himself. And so when Narcissus finally died, the nymphs were very sad that there went their eye candy. And they were going to have a funeral for him, but instead where his body was, a flower grew. And that flower to this day bears the name Narcissus. And that is the story of Narcissus, a story which has caused people to define other people that way based on their personality. And the next time somebody says, "Oh, you're being narcissistic," you'll know where the story came from. The story of Narcissus. And Echo. It's really Echo's story. Poor thing, left to wander the earth like that. And of course, getting involved in women's business. Echo would have been smart to stay in her lane. Stay out of Hera's business. But that they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. All right, the last story for tonight. This is a Japanese story, which I happen to love. And by the way, If any of you guys got stories out there you want me to read or something, or you think would be good for your kids to know or whatever, I'm making this show not just for kids, but for adults too. Because, for adults, these really push your imagination, and for kids, they help them to become more creative and look at things differently. And, diversity of thought is what really solves problems at the end of the day. And so just let me know. And of course, if any of these stories you think are not appropriate for your child or whatever, you don't have to look. But I choose these stories carefully, and I hope you enjoy them. Anyway, the fourth leg. A story from Japan. Once upon a time, when God had created just men and animals, the dog only had 3 legs. Dog would hop about and he would say, it's hard to walk with just 3 legs. Everyone else has 4. The cat, the mouse. I would like to roam around on 4 legs too. So the dog went to the Creator with his wish. He says, Creator, if you have 1 leg left over, I sure would like to have it. I would really appreciate it. So Creator searched in the box where he kept these types of things, but he couldn't find any legs. So he says to Dog, wait here, and I'll go look for a leftover leg. And off he went. And first he came across a cat and asked the cat if he could give him one of his legs. No, indeed, said Cat. If I didn't have 4 legs, I wouldn't be able to catch up with the mice when I'm chasing them. I can't give you back 1. Next he asked the mouse, who said, if I didn't have 4 legs, I couldn't run away from the cat. I can't give you 1. Creator agreed with her and went toward the mountains. There he met Rabbit hopping around. Rabbit, you are able to hop, so I need all my legs for that. He also met a deer running very fast. Deer, would you mind giving me back one of your legs? All I can do is protect myself, is to run away fast. I can't give up any of my legs, Deer answered. And God agreed and continued further into the woods. And he saw a boar coming slowly in his direction. Boar, Creator said, surely you can give me. I can't part with any of them. Creator thought for a moment. I know what I can do. I'll ask the human. The other day he gave me back his tail, so maybe he'll also give me back a leg. But the human wasn't pleased with what Creator had asked him. No, he said angrily, I have only 2 legs, and if I were to give you back one of them, I would have to hop around on 1 leg. Human said, I can't do that. But loudly he said, hey, isn't there a way? He went into the direction of the voice. It was an iron hearth trivet who said, I neither walk nor run, so you can have one of my legs. A trivet is an iron piece that has 3 pieces, and it holds a fire in the center in a pot. And it used to be 4. And he adjusted that leg to the right length. He said, oh, God said, really? Then please give me your 4th leg. Thank you very much. And he adjusted that leg to the right length, and he put it on the dog, who was very much delighted. With 4 legs, it's so much easier to walk. How thankful I am. I must take care of this leg that God found for me. And from that day on, the dog always raised his 4th leg when he goes to pee. Good night, everybody. That's it for this week's Songs and Stories with Peter Brooks, the live. Look for the videos here on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe, like, follow, get a story a week. You can count on it. At least enjoy some storytelling. Oh man, this thing keeps going off. I don't know what's happening. I be sorry, you guys. Shh.